Good morning and welcome to another episode of Better Business, Better Life.
I've always been a buyer. When I worked for distribution companies, I was the buyer. So I love making money when you buy, and I believe that you make more money when you buy rather than selling.
We've made the mistakes of, recruiting people or using advisors that were cheap, that gave us the cheapest quote, and we soon found out that that didn't work, and all that stuff. So over the years, and where we transact internationally now, our business advisors and external advisors and our own team has to keep evolving.
I am joined today by Graeme and Leanne Carling, who are based over in Dubai, but as you will hear from their accents, they're originally not from Dubai. I'll leave you to guess where they're from. Now, they're a husband and wife couple who have decided that they not only want to be married, but want to be in business together. So today I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more about how that came to be and how it's working for them. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
So you're not originally from Dubai. That's pretty obvious from your accent. So why don't you tell us a wee bit about how you got to where you are now and what you're up to?
Yeah, well, you're right. We're not originally from Dubai. We've been here for around 3 years now. Originally from Scotland in the UK. And I'm actually from the east coast of Scotland, in a city called Dundee. And Leanne is from the big smoke, if you like, in Scotland. And
the West Coast in Glasgow.
Glasgow, lovely.
Yep.
And you started off in business by just having one property, and you've now grown it to a local property at that, and now you've grown it to be a sort of a global organisation, obviously living in Dubai with a family as well. But what is your background? How did you even get into business, and why business together?
Well, I think if we take this back, if I go right back, when I was at school, I didn't really know. I wasn't very academic. I wasn't particularly clever. I really then, from where I came from, a working class city, there was just a path that you followed, which was you went to school and then you went and got a trade, and went and worked in the building industry and the construction industry. And there's no real rhyme nor reason about it. It was just kind of what you'd done. So when I was younger, I had no idea when I was leaving school what I wanted to be. All my friends were leaving and to become a joiner or a brickie or a plumber or an electrician. And I just blindly went along with that, So I just sort of followed the masses. My family and friends, that was the path that they took. It wasn't like we didn't have any money. There wasn't a route into, I suppose, university education or anything. You just left school and you went and got a trade. So I went and became an apprentice joiner. There was a scheme at the time back in 1990, which was 89, 90 in the UK, a youth training scheme. So you're on the you left school, you went on this before you became an apprentice, and you were on the grand sum of £29.50 per week that the government paid for. So anyway, that was kind of, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school, and I must admit, I chose the wrong thing because I was hopeless at joinery. I was bad. I'm still, I can't do anything, like that. But when I left school, got that job. It was in one of the largest companies in my city, and I was quite fortunate to get the job. I managed to scrape by and pass the test, but really from day one, hated it. I just hated it. And I think for me, I've always had this itching within me that I wanted to run my own businesses and mind my own business. I seen the struggles of my parents financially, and my dad done particularly well given where he came from. The housing scheme, rough area, a lot of deprivation, a large family, had no money, and he kind of done well for himself in the corporate world. But still, we never had any money. It wasn't that we were unhappy, but we had no money. And any sort of arguments or disagreements in my family was generally around money. So no matter how well my dad done in the corporate world, or how much money he made, or a wage increase or a bonus, we still never had any money. And every Christmas was a problem. He never had any money it would be a fight between my mum and dad. We didn't have enough money for Christmas. My dad would be chasing his Christmas bonus and all of this. So kind of the corporate world didn't make any sense to me, because even if you were successful at it, and as he got older, he was under more and more pressure to keep the job. So from a position of being, I suppose, the young whippersnapper coming through, at some point you become the old guy, and then I'd seen it with other members of my family and people that I just knew. They were then clinging on, to retirement to try and make it, to just survive to there. So it never really made any sense to me. So I just always had this within me that I didn't want to be the same as my dad. I wanted to be, if I was going to, not have that stressful life around money, I really needed to mind my own business. So that's the long story, Deborah. But it's gives you the context and the background.
It's a good motivator, isn't it? It's a good motivator when you kind of want to do better than what your family has done. So you got into business. And of course, it was an overnight success and everything was fabulous, right?
Yeah. Listen, I started my first business I think it was around about 1999. And by the time I had 2002, I had 3 failed businesses. So they were small businesses. I started them myself. I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. I had no real mentor, no real guidance. My dad was the person that showed me ambition, but he didn't have the experience or the knowledge or the wherewithal of running his own business. He was always good in a corporate environment. So, I ventured onto that path myself and really didn't have a clue about money and debt and finance and tax and leverage and all of that stuff. And so, by the time 2002 came, I had 3 failed businesses, small businesses, new startups that I'd done myself with my brother and various things. And for one reason or another, they didn't work out. And come 2002, I was skint, had no money, ego dented, licking my wounds, really, and had to go back, unfortunately, to mainstream employment. I had to go and get a job. I just over broke again. And it took me a few years to recover from that, I have to say.
Okay, as you expect. Yeah, but I think sometimes there are lessons that we learn from those disasters that it's the best way to learn them. You don't forget those lessons easily, do you? No. Yeah, I've had a couple of failed businesses myself, so I know exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, you don't, and they're the best lessons. And one of the changing point for me was I just started back working again, in mainstream, and I caught the tail end of an Oprah Winfrey show, and it was a guy called Robert Kiyosaki who was discussing his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah. So I bought the book. Yeah, it was like a light bulb moment for me, as simple as that book is, and it's a timeless book, and it just it was like a light switch going on, where I had no clue. I had never been in any environment about about money and how to manage money and debt and leverage and what the rich do compared to the poor. I'd always been taking the poor person's advice, and I needed to make sure that I took the rich person or the rich dad's advice. So it was a real wake up call for me that I genuinely had no idea. It was not something I came across in my schooling, in my family, or anything. I had to go and educate and become financially educated. And between 2002 and 2007, and Leanne will tell you, we met during that period working for this a mainstream employer. So that was the plus point of going back to working again. And so between then, I just educated myself as much as I could to be in a position that when the time was right, my confidence was right, I've recovered financially, that I would go back again and go back, and give it another shot and what working for myself.
Yeah, we have a similar story. I mean, I also had to go back into corporate world to lick my wounds after losing quite a bit of money in my first failed business, and I stuck it for 3.5 years, and I used that time to educate myself, get myself back in a position, and as you said, rebuild your confidence, because even though
Yeah.
you know that it's not necessarily your fault that this happened, there's still an element of, well, I should have known better, I could have done better, etc., etc. You beat yourself up, don't you?
Yeah.
So, Leanne,
Yeah,
I'm really
true.
keen to hear your side of the story. So, you met whilst you were back in this corporate job together. What's your background?
Yeah, but Graeme and I have both pretty similar backgrounds from obviously east and west coast of Scotland. I also left school with no higher education, not knowing what I wanted to do. I fancied the fire brigade, but went to an open day and was put off, told to go and get some life skills before I considered joining. And my mother and father were similar to Graeme, both worked in jobs for 27 years, 33 years with the one company, a job for life. And I followed in my father's footsteps into the corporate world of distribution, and I actually loved it. I really, really loved it. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed the hustle and bustle, the solving problems. I really enjoyed it, but there was something missing, and I was forever seeking new employment, getting promotion within different companies. And I can remember my dad saying, "Leanne, you're going to be unemployable soon. No, you keep moving jobs. What's wrong?" But I didn't know what it was, and I was looking for something else. And then, as Graeme says, we met in 2005, 2004, 2005 through employment, and we started dating. And the first gift that Graeme bought me was Rich Woman by Kim Kiyosaki. And then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. So we then started our journey, because I was like, this is a light bulb. This is what I've been looking for. And that's where our journey started, working together.
Okay, cool. And so, how did you decide what that business was going to be and what you wanted to do?
Graeme had been studying the property market for a couple of years before we met, and he had really educated himself on the sector, and then we started learning together. But as Graeme says, it was about 2 or 3 years before we bought our first property after meeting, and educating ourselves and studying the market and taking the leap.
If you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Yep.
you'll know it's very sort of real estate focused. So it kind of took you down that angle. But really, so that was an industry I was really interested in, having read that book. But during that period between 2002 and 3 to 2007, the numbers didn't make any sense. If I was following the principles of cash flow, financial freedom, and all that stuff, the numbers didn't make any sense. But we were sitting in the wings, waiting on the right opportunity, on the right moment, the right time. And at the financial crash of 2007 and 8, when everybody was getting out the property business, we were getting in, because for the first time in a number of years, certainly since I'd become interested, the numbers started to make sense. You could buy properties at a discount. You were able to generate monthly cash flow and pick up some real bargains in the market. So that's really how we quit our jobs on the same day, the end of October 2007. But we'd been sitting waiting in the wings for the timing in the market to be right to get into that sector.
Okay. And so that was the first property. And obviously, from then you followed the principles of Rich Dad Poor Dad. But in terms of actually, because it's still a business, right? You still actually have to run a business that purchases, manages all these properties. How did you decide who was going to do what in the business?
God, I think we just kind of fell into the roles, but Graham does, he has a right financial, kind of legal mindset, he interests in all the different products on the market, etc. I've always been a buyer. When I worked for distribution companies, I was the buyer. So I love making money when you buy, and I believe that you make more money when you buy rather than selling. So that was my background and my mindset. So I love analysing deals, trying to negotiate, and then Graham goes away and gets the finance,
The legals.
or however we're going to fund, and then the legal side of it, and then it just naturally came back to me for the property management side of things. And I think that was one of the we were like, oh, you're buying all these properties, you forget you've got to manage them at the other side, and then until you get to a certain level and can hand them across to a company, or you're not doing them yourself, it's a tough game.
Sure. And so do you have a team that helps you with some of this stuff now?
Yes, now we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when we start, we were everything.
Yes.
We were everything. In terms of the marketing, Leanne would be walking around the streets, putting leaflets through people's door with a
baby.
newly born baby, son
Yeah.
in his pram and all that. Then come home, all of that. So you'll know yourself running businesses. You're everything at the start,
Yeah.
and and you have to do everything, and it's hard work, and it's still hard work. But I think for us now, our team continues to evolve as we grow. We've made the mistakes of, recruiting people or using advisors that were cheap, that gave us the cheapest quote, and we soon found out that that didn't work, and all that stuff. So over the years, and where we transact internationally now, our business advisors and external advisors and our own team has to keep evolving, because as we evolve, you can have really important members of your team that are part of your journey at that point, but they can't go any further. They're limited, and you've got to deal with that.
Yep.
Because you can be loyal to the person, and likewise that's tricky, especially if you like them and they've been loyal to you. But if they're limited, it restricts it for the company, for the business, for the whole. And those decisions are tough. But the one thing we've learned over the years is you just keep evolving, and you have to keep on growing, and growing your team and all that.
And I think it's been proven through books like Scaling Up and EOS. It's like, as the team that gets to 1 million won't get you to 10 million. The team that gets you to 10 million won't get you to 100 million or 50 million. So you've got to actually look at, what does the business need now for the next 12 months? And how do we define what that business needs for the next 12 months? And then do the people we have now, do they actually, we say GWC, but they actually, do they get it, do they want it, they have capacity to do it. And as the business grows, sometimes they don't have the capacity. And it's not that they're not good people. It's not that they don't share your core values, but they're just not, they don't have the experience, the technical knowledge, the expertise, whatever it is to get you to the next level. Hopefully you can find them another role, but not always.
No, and I think one of the things we've learned is we have tried to, again, through experience, we've tried to put square peg round hole. Though it doesn't work, so cut quick, deal with it quickly, because a small problem left festers and just becomes a big problem. And I say problem, I don't mean it in the sense that the people are the problems. It's just their skill set, particularly if you're growing at a very fast rate. You need people that can be on that same journey with you, that understand that and are capable of operating at the speed that you're operating at, the business is growing at.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah,
it's unfair on both sides too, right? If you've got somebody who's not actually capable of doing that, then they're also going to be pretty miserable anyway. So you're better off to actually let them
Yeah,
go than keep them there and not have it start anybody else.
yeah,
Sorry, Leanne, you were going to say?
going to say at the level you want your business to be at. If they're not at that level, they're holding your business
Yeah.
back. So you do need to cut quick and move on.
yeah. I think for us, we over the years, some of the things that have been our downside for us that we've learned is we are very loyal people, but we've been loyal to the person as opposed to the outcome, or as opposed to what they're delivering. And we've changed that over the last sort of couple of years. We very much we need to be results driven and make sure that we continue that the people can and we continue to deliver. It's our responsibility to look after the whole, at all times, and that's difficult for others to see at times because they only see their piece of it. Where our view is global. We've got to have a look at and make sure that we protect every part of our businesses at all times, and we have the right people in the right places that can deliver it. And like you say, can deliver it not last year, but next year and the following year.
Yeah. So tell me, I mean, how do you go about picking staff? Like, how do you decide who's a right fit for the organization? Or consultants for that matter, or anybody you work with?
Well, it's tricky. I mean, you're dealing with people. We look for experience. I think for us, when we started out, there was nothing happier than we have a lot of our team that have been with us from the start, and they've been on the same journey. That's so fulfilling. But there's been a lot of people dropped off. Also, we want people to be on this journey, to
We
grow
want our
with
team
us.
to grow and prosper as well.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
don't, not just us and
No.
we want our people to be with us.
Yeah.
But if we're doing the best by them and by everybody, we look to people that have walked the walk previously to us, that give us. You asked earlier on, Deborah, about how we found ourselves in the roles that we currently do. We have completely different skill sets, natural skill sets. So it's having the right club for the right shot, the right person in the right department, that we understand their strengths and weaknesses and we use their strengths. And it's what can get us there. We don't worry so much about the weaknesses, provided they can learn and are able to give it a go. What strengths can the evidence that they bring to us? And we like it that people have made mistakes. A lot of people try and hide, when they come, they only talk about their successes. We talk about our failures because that's where the lessons are. If someone hasn't failed, well, that's a concern to us. That's a red flag, possibly, because they're going to fail at some point. So that means they're going to fail. Good chance they're going to fail on our watch. So we prefer them to have failures and lessons and learning. So.
And I think failures, they give us tenacity. They give us the ability to actually kind of pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and get on with it. I think if you've never failed, I can't imagine what it'd be like, to be honest, because I've never been there. But if you've never failed, how will you deal with that first failure? You imagine being in your 50s and never having failed at anything. The first time you fail could be the end of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't fail, you can't evolve.
Yeah, completely agree.
You're not going to grow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think on the failure side, it's so important that because it builds. You can't second guess yourself, and that's dangerous because you do not know how you're going to react or be or cope when you're in that moment, in that position, when everything's going against you, and you don't know how that builds character and resilience, and that can't be taught in a book or at a seminar. You have to experience. That physiological, oh no.
We've actually made decisions off, you're in the heat of the moment, the pressure's on. How are your team acting at that point?
Yeah.
How are your team, and that's, when you make decisions, do they continue in the journey with you or do you cut?
Yeah.
You know, how did act under real pressure.
So tell me a little bit about working together as husband and wife, because I work with a lot of family businesses. They're often husbands and wives, brothers, sisters, all working the thing, and of course you've got your family life, and then you've got your business life. How do you keep that working? And what are the biggest challenges you face?
Okay, well, I always say we never go to bed in an argument.
Nice.
So we're usually up for 3 days, 4 days until it's resolved. Well, as Graham says, we've got our own strengths and weaknesses in our own roles. And I always say to Graham, you know, stay in your lane, and he'll say, you know, get out my lane. So, you know, so we know what we're good at. We're very good at supporting each other, you know. So I'm not nagging at Graham. Why are you on the phone? Why are you always, you know, always in your computer? You know, if he's got something to do, I'll make sure the kids are okay, and he does what he has to do, and vice versa, you know. So if I've got something that's really important that I need to deal with, then Graham picks up. So we pick up the slack for each other. So it works. We hold each other accountable, you know. So if we set goals and we're not doing them, we kick each other's bums. And also if we have wins, we support each other and we celebrate. So it works really well.
Yeah,
I think for us, also, I think when we met, we were working together.
sure.
So we've only ever known working together. We've never known anything else. So a lot of my friends now, they can say they could never work with their spouse or their partner or anything. They're completely different. Mentally, they're in different places. We've only ever known working together, and we consciously took the decision that when we embarked on a financial education journey, that we done it together. Now, that may or may not slow us down, because we might have been quicker, one of us going off and doing it. But we only have one life. We don't have this family, private life and business life. We have our life,
Yep.
which incorporates our kids, our family, and a business. And we don't know anything else, to be honest.
But it sounds like you have got some quite clearly defined roles, and you're really clear about the accountabilities and holding each other accountable, which I think is really key to keeping these things. Yeah, some boundaries where you go, this is actually what we're going to work within. And I love the idea of not going to bed, without sorting things out, even if it does take a number of days. But yeah. So what's been the biggest challenge, do you think, in the business? Because obviously you've taken it, say, from one property to now being a global organization, employing lots of people, very profitable. What's been the biggest challenge on that journey? We've talked about letting people go sometimes. What else has happened?
I think it's blocking out the noise and the advice from, people that aren't qualified to give you the advice.
Yep.
That's for anyone starting out in business, it's quite hard. Be careful who you're taking your advice from. As Graham says, we love our families, and our my parents were very successful in their own right, but they didn't run their own business. So they weren't qualified to give us advice in running our own business.
Yep.
And even, our friends, different colleagues, so I think one part of a bit of advice I would say is, be careful who you take advice from.
Yep.
Are they qualified to give you that advice?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very, very good point. A lot of people, will tell you what you should do, what you ought to do, but unless they've actually been there and walked in those shoes, can they actually give you that advice? Have they got that experience?
And a lot of them are doing it, because they want to look after you, they want to protect you, but
Yeah.
they're not obviously doing it in a malicious way.
Yeah, fair enough. Graham, what do you think?
Yeah, well, Leanne hit the nail on the head there. There isn't one. We've had many challenges and obstacles and to overcome over the years, but the constant challenge that has been there from the beginning and will always be there, as Leanne says, is blocking out the noise. And that's not just from family, friends, that's the media, social media, all this stuff, where everybody's trying to get you on a side. They want to get you on their side. So you're going, it's on that side, you've got to be on that side, or you've got to be on that side. There are just certain things that just are. And if you can block out the noise, things just are, and trying to spreadsheet it or work it out and take years to try and decipher it. A lot of people want to win the argument, but don't want to win. So if you can block out the noise on winning arguments, that's a distraction. It's keeping this noise and distraction away and keeping your eye on the prize and the laser beam focus on what it is that you're looking to achieve.
Yeah.
And every day is a constant battle and challenge because we are surrounded by it on somebody's advice or opinion or facts, as they want to call it, and that for me is the constant daily battle when you're running and you're trying to steer your ship. It is trying to work out who's just, because a lot of people now, my family, and I talked about my dad. My dad intellectually, for example, he could win any argument intellectually, but he didn't really win in life because he was so, and I just see so many people like that. I said, look, I'd much rather just, win. It just is like, take action, block out this noise and distraction that are put in front of us every day. And I think it's by design, by the way, but to keep people, I'm 50 at the end of this month. And well, crikey, we've wasted so much time on rubbish arguments when we could have done so much more in taking action. And I just wish a lot more people would win rather than just looking to win arguments.
I think
I can agree with that. I said the other day, we've had some fantastic highs and some fantastic lows. And I think what Graham's saying there, when we get involved in noise and arguments and fighting back, it costs us more time.
That's time.
Yep.
And time when we should have been focused on doing something better.
Yeah.
So it's just being able to, another bit of advice. We always say, don't respond. If something's really annoyed you, like an email or a phone call, don't respond right away. Go to sleep on it, and then respond.
Or if you really must, I sometimes say just type out whatever you want to say, but leave it there and then review it in the morning, because you read it in the morning and it's like, oh my goodness, did I really write that? Okay, so please I didn't hit send. Yeah. And so I'm really keen to understand, because a lot of the work that I do with companies is around making sure they do have that kind of laser sharp focus, don't get distracted by other things, and working kind of 90-day sprints to make sure you've got that real clarity of what you're doing. You do have to ignore the noise. I think you also sometimes have to go that 80% is good enough, and we can just, as long as we're consistently moving forward, then we're actually heading in the right direction. How do you keep yourself that focus? What do you do in the business to keep that focus?
Well, I mean, it's a daily challenge. It's natural now. We do it. We've got our family, friends, people, and everybody's. I think over the years, we've just, and again through experience, we get better every year that goes by, more resistant to the noise. We haven't accomplished it because it's still there, and we self-sabotage, and we create our own issues by reacting to something that we shouldn't, or have being asked a question, an opinion on something. It's just it's stealing your time, it's stealing your focus and your energy away from what you've what the goal and objective really is. And I think again, choosing your team wisely, your advisors wisely also. So it's a build up of resistance that will always be there, but I think the challenge is also going to always be there. I don't know how you can eradicate that, really, but we've just become better at it over the years. And in actual fact, I think it gives you a real advantage, not wanting to get dragged into arguments that don't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
They're not,
Productive.
Where is that? Yeah, where is that going? How is that taking me closer to my goal? I might be right, and I probably am, But I'm not going to spend a year of my life arguing with someone or people to be right. I've just stole a year of my time. I've got responsibility to my business, our staff, our customers, that we're going to keep, our shareholders, our stakeholders, to keep going. So you've just got to, some of you practice sort
Yeah.
of.
I mean, we've got much better at it, like ignoring the noise, etc. But our close friends and family that are around us quite a lot, I think they've actually got better at, you would go on holiday, and Graeme and I would work from the morning to lunchtime, and you'd have people, why are you not coming to the pool? Why are you not coming to the beach? And you're saying, well, we're busy, we've got things on, we've got calls. Now they don't ask.
Yeah.
They just let us do our own thing, So, but at the start, it was really hard. Oh, why are you not coming out for a meal tonight? Or why, because we're busy, we're focused, we've got things we want to do. So now they leave us to our own devices, and when we want to attend the beach and meals and things, we attend. So the pressure's less from. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of close people, but the noise is coming in from everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped watching the news, gosh, it must be 10, 15 years ago now, because I just realised that I can't affect it. I can't do anything about it. And most of it's not particularly positive, let's face it. So what is the point of subjecting yourself to that? And I've seen people, I think I've seen it with legal stuff, where they've literally, fought against divorces, against being right in a particular situation for such a long time. You kind of go, if you hadn't taken that 18 months of legal action and all that brain space and all that negativity, what could you have created on the positive side rather than fighting for the loss? Like, let it go. Pay that person whatever they want just to get them out of your life so that you can actually move on and focus on the things that will add value rather than take away.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done that, and I think we've learned that again over the years. We stand up for ourselves. We stand up for our businesses. We protect them. If we, and our people, but we're also look at it commercially as well now, and make sure that we pick our battles, is what I'm,
And that comes from experience.
Yeah.
Well, because it's an opportunity cost. It's an opportunity cost of wasting that time, that energy that you could be focusing on other things. It's the same as, it's a little bit different in property potentially, but I know when you're working with clients in the B2B space, there are some clients who you just know they're not your perfect client. They're not the person you really want to work with, but you kind of go, oh, well, they're paying me. But then you sort of think, well, if they're taking up that amount of space, I don't have any space for somebody else to come in and take it. So you have to let go and say no, so that you can open up to bigger, better opportunities.
You're spot on there, by the way. Every time you need to leave the space open, and something will always come in the space.
Yeah.
You just got to believe in that.
Yeah.
It just does. You spreadsheet it. You say, where's the next client coming from? Where's the next deal coming from? Where's the next opportunity? You can spreadsheet that to death. Sorry, I just want to go back to your point on 80%. Absolutely correct. The traffic lights are not always going to be at green when you leave your house to go on your journey. There is never the perfect moment. For us, we don't spreadsheet it to death. 80-90% is good enough. That we'll take that. Move on.
Yep.
And we'd rather get 90% done than wait 10 years for it to be 100%. Because we've evolved. And again, that's perfect. We don't get hung up on we've misspelt an email, we've got a mistake on our website or something. Come on.
Who cares?
Let's go. Come on. But some people really make it that they get so obsessed by being perfect. We don't wait on that. We get we want it to be as good as we can. But there's a cost to perfection, time cost, financial cost. We just, we are content with very good.
Yep.
not perfect. We're content with that to continue to move on at pace.
And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, sometimes we don't know the how or what is going to happen, but it just does. But it can't
Yeah,
happen if you don't have the space. So if you haven't got the space
yeah,
to allow things in, then it actually just physically can't happen. So just sometimes let go, trust. If you're doing the right things, you're putting one step in front of the other, it will come as it's intended. Yeah. Well, there's been a
yeah.
lot of learnings in there. So I mean, some things around, obviously letting people go if they're not the right people. There is, not wanting to be perfect, shutting out the noise. If you had to give kind of 3 top tips or tools based on your experiences to date, what would they be, do you think?
Well, my number one is fail faster.
Mm,
Fail faster. Get in the game
yep.
as quickly as you can. I started when I was young. I had failures. I should have started well before that. And I should have done bigger deals than what I'd done. So fail faster and don't be afraid. The advice normally is take baby steps, find your way, touchy feely. That advice then, that's coming from people that are only ever taking baby steps. At some point, you've got to take a bigger step and a bigger step and a bigger step. But absolutely for me, it's fail faster.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, if you look at some of my heroes, for example, they took massive steps and they had some massive failures as well. But they picked themselves
Yeah,
up, they learned from it, they moved forward, they got better and better and better. And I think most millionaires, billionaires, probably whatever you need to be these days, have had at least 2 or 3 failures before they really nailed it, which I think is important.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so fail faster, take bigger steps. What else?
Have a good team around you and
Yeah.
advisors. Again, are they qualified to advise you? Are they qualified to be in your team? And if they're not, cut quick, because we have learned, as Graeme said, we were loyal to the person, but not to the company and the outcome. So, it's part of business, it's part of life.
Yep. And
But the team around you.
yeah, and it is a team. So, that one person, you might be trying to look after that one person, but you probably got 99 other people who are really upset by the fact that you've kept that incompetent, whatever it might be, person on board. So, what's the better outcome? Yeah.
Yep.
Third and final thing.
Well, for me, is play to win.
Yeah.
We see a lot of people getting to maybe have, a relative amount of success, small success, or, if they came through, then they freeze and they play not to lose what they've got. That's dangerous.
Yep.
We play to win. Now, that's risky, but the rewards are significant. Remember what started you in the first place. Why you're doing what you're doing. But we've just seen it over so many, and the people then they get terrified. They got a certain amount of success. They stop playing to win, start playing to protect or secure or not to lose, and lo and behold, they're gone within 2 or 3 years. Remember, you're playing to win.
Love it. Great. Hey, so if somebody wants to get in contact with you, wants to do business with you, how would they do that?
Well, our website address, thecarlinggroup.co.uk, or on LinkedIn.
Both on LinkedIn.
Both on LinkedIn. Graeme.Carling and
Leanne.Carling.
on LinkedIn.
Beautiful. And what kind of people do you like to work with?
Ambitious, energetic.
Yeah, passionate. Somebody that's got real drive, that they're hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, look, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. I almost understood every word too, which is always great when you're speaking with Scottish people. But no, seriously, it has. It's been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Some really, really good tips there. Don't forget, it's thecarlinggroup.co.uk, Leanne and Graeme Carling, both on LinkedIn. Thank you. I mean, I can see that you make a wonderful partnership, both in business and in life. So well done on all that you've done. And I look forward to seeing you go even higher and winning even more.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.